I don't think it's an advantage, in my opinion. Yes, we've won these 3 games, but I don't think we've performed extremely well. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement, both defensively and offensively. And as I stated, a team like Stellenbosch, if you give them the ball, they will punish you. And our game last night, as an example, we gave possession away far too easily. As much as we had to ground out the result, and we ended up winning the match. We've shown great character and fight in all the games that we've played, but I don't think that we've performed extremely well in any of the games. And that can come back and bite you. So obviously that's something that we've made the players aware last night, both at halftime and after the game. Tomorrow we'll obviously just assess the squad, assess the starting 11, but we need to make the players aware that that's going to be the biggest threat that they will pose, is when we give the ball away cheaply. So yeah, very happy that we've started extremely well, to win 3 games on the road. But at the same time, my experience tells me that the way we're performing, we need to get better. I've had that conversation, we've had that conversation a couple of times already. I tend to disagree. I don't think Coletto's done that well in the 3 games that he's played. First game, yes, he had an assist, but that was from a corner. But he hasn't really created many opportunities for himself or for others in these last 2 matches. There's always those rumors, especially after having been elected as player of the season, most assists, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of that comes down to the media. Not always the media, sometimes it's actually more the agent that starts putting out that information. And we've made Coletto aware that we'll never stand in his way of getting a better contract somewhere else. But there needs to be an offer, and there hasn't been. So it's all talk. And what he must be aware of is that he's a professional footballer, has a contract with Sekhukhune United, and he needs to duplicate what he did last season. Because then people will take him more serious. Then it won't be just hearsay from the agent and from the press. The clubs will be contacting Sekhukhune. Start with the fields. Fields are always a complication in South Africa because we share a number of stadiums with rugby, and that's always going to be a major issue, because the standard and the quality of a football pitch versus the standard and quality of a rugby pitch. They could actually play on dirt. Didn't really matter. But football, we need a flat surface. We need a good surface in order to be able to play a brand of football that is going to be entertaining to the fans. When you're playing on a very, very bumpy pitch, it makes playing an attractive game of football very, very difficult for the players. And then people might assume that, the brand of football is poor. I do tend to agree. There's been a couple of games that I myself have watched so far this season where the brand football hasn't been great. Some of it is down to preparation. Some clubs started a lot later their pre-season than others. Some of the stadiums that we've seen, the condition of their fields are not the greatest, which is the reality of South Africa, especially Joburg. We're training on a field in Benoni Northerns. During the winter months, we know the grass doesn't really grow. The pitches are extremely hard because we don't have rain. Versus down in Cape Town, it's a wet winter. The fields are slightly better, those that are in good condition, because there is growth, so it makes it difficult. You know, I look at Bloem, the Free State Stadium. I watched the game there recently. There was competition there, and it took a beating and it wasn't in great condition. Yeah, it's hard. You know, we would like to be playing on better pitches, but it's not easy. It's not growth season here in Joburg. I know Orlando Stadium, people spoke about that it underwent a process of regrowth, but it's still not in great condition because it's the wrong time of the season. And possibly our stadiums need more time to rest. You know, I don't think they get a lot of time because there's a lot of competitions that are taking place, be it football, be it rugby, be it entertainment. Sometimes the entertainment, the musicians or whatever that they use the stadiums for, those stadiums take a beating. You know, we're not like Europe, but we have our own stadiums that no one else utilizes. So United, for example, when the season ended, they had a good 6-7 weeks to prep that stadium and get it back in good condition. We don't have that luxury.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think the hard part really is what we currently find ourselves in. You know, it's a pity that everything has to be congested and squeezed into 1 month. You know, you're competing for the league and you're playing a massive competition like the MTN 8. The recovery process, I can see our performance last night was not great. A lot of it is down to the fact that there's such a congestion. 8 games in the space of a month is a lot of games, you know, and last night only getting back at 3 a.m., having training now at 1 o'clock this afternoon puts a lot of strain on the players, and it becomes very, very difficult to ensure that you're going to get the best out of each player game by game. So, you know, a lot of hard work on my part, being able to assess who's recovered, who hasn't recovered, who's in the right frame of mind, who isn't, because there's a lot of pressure that the players have to go through. Game after game, every 3 days there's a game, and their expectation is to achieve and win. And that's not an easy process, very, very difficult process. But I think what becomes important is how I carry myself. I need to continue showing enthusiasm as much as I had a very, very late night. When I go to training, I need to show that enthusiasm that the players can feed off. So I think, you know, that becomes very, very important, but not an easy task. You know, we go to Selenbosch, we play Saturday, Tuesday we got to play Orbit, and then we got the second leg, and then we still got Amazulu and Durban City immediately after that, and that's all in the space of a month. And yeah, we say, yeah, Europe, you see it happen, but you know, it's a 5-hour drive to Polokwane. It's another 2-hour flight down to Cape Town, but you got to be there 2 hours before. So, you know, the time frame is quite hectic. We probably had a benefit to a degree that the game against Orbit has been moved to Dobsonville. But that would have been another trip, you know, making our way to Rustenburg. So it's not easy, very, very difficult for the players and also for the technical staff to ensure that everybody's recovered in time to give another 100% the following match.
For your soccer updates, visit www.ngo2010sharpi.com.